Hey everyone, RogueGold here. Welcome back to the Division 2, and today we've got some new information to cover. Over the past 24 hours or so, 2 different interviews have surfaced online. These include 2 of the top team members from the Division 2's development team, and they focus around Year 6, providing us with further details on things like Seasons 2.0, a few hints at the story for the Brooklyn DLC, as well as a seeming confirmation, although we pretty much already had it, that the Division 2 isn't ending anytime soon, with Year 7 and likely more on the way after that. So, as always, I want to keep you all up to date on the latest with the game and the Division universe at large, so we're going to break all that down and let you know what you need to know. Let's go. Now, there's one very important detail here that I want to clarify before we get into this. My assumption is that most of you are going to be the most interested and have the most to say about the comments made in these interviews regarding Seasons 2.0 and the seasonal character system, which of course has been a whirlwind of debate ever since its announcement last week. We've already done plenty of coverage and discussion on that here on the channel. 2 things I think are important for you all to keep in mind. 1, these interviews were recorded before the news dropped last week. Yannick and Radu, who we're going to hear from, traveled to LA to be there in person for Ubisoft Forward, so this is where these were conducted. And so I just want to point that out, as I'm sure someone's going to think, how dare they not address the community feedback and backlash over this announcement? Those things had not yet happened at the time of these interviews recordings. And then secondly, for anyone who didn't see, the game is preparing to address the community regarding the seasonal character backlash. I'll put it up on screen here. Back on Thursday, you can see someone asked, "Are you going to address the concern about season characters in Season 2? And the game responded by saying, "We are currently in the process of preparing extended communication to provide a more detailed explanation of the new seasonal journey." So whenever this new communication drops that they're referencing, this will be the first time that the team will be addressing the topic with the community's reaction to the news in mind. And again, I just think it's important to make that distinction compared to these interviews where that had not yet happened. And as a side note, of course, whenever we get this new info from the team regarding Seasons 2.0 and all of that, I will obviously be making a video to follow up with that and break it all down, so stay tuned. But okay, let's now shift focus to these interviews themselves. There's going to be 2 that we're pulling from, as I mentioned. One was conducted by Gaming Trend, the other by Danny Pena. Both of these original interviews and sources will be linked down in the description below. Certainly, I recommend checking them out if you're interested. I've plucked out what I consider to be the most compelling and newsworthy parts, but each are about 8 to 10 minutes of them discussing Year 6 overall. So again, feel free to check them out in their entirety. In both of these interviews, you'll find Yannick, who I'm sure many of you are familiar with by now. He's the creative director on the game, the one steering the ship. He's on the left-hand side. And then you've got Radu, who we've seen less of, though he's been popping up more and more recently in things like the 5th anniversary video and the recent Year 6 announcement last week. He is the lead producer for the game over at Ubisoft Bucharest. Again, the project is led by Yannick and a few key veterans at Massive, but the team at Bucharest provides the bulk of the game's developers and support, and Radu, from my understanding, is the head of that team. So another highly influential and knowledgeable person when it comes to what's happening with the game. He'll be on the right-hand side in all of these following clips. Okay, so the first topic here is the Division 2 as a whole. The interviewer asks the duo how it's been to continue development on the Division 2 after 6 years with the obstacles like the development team rebuilding and all of that, and here's what they had to say.
For the game.
I'm going to use one word, challenging, but that's an understatement. It's been crazy. I mean, we just celebrated the 60th title update since Division 2 launched. And yeah, we kind of had a small celebration. It's a big number for everybody. All the teams, the studios, which are right now working on Division 2 live, are very, very involved. Everybody has its specific role in creating what will ship today and also looking onwards. Year 6, 7, who knows?
100, who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's, there's one thing, but it's, it's the passion. I think everybody who works on this game, and you hear that a lot, but it's just, it's so true with this game. And the team we have rebuilt, because, at some point the project was going to go down and be sunset. And then we've rebuilt a whole new team. We've rebuilt a whole new pipeline and started, releasing content again and seeing the passion of the team to really keep driving forward and pushing and growing the game, not just maintaining it, but growing, and seeing where we stand today. And again, doing the 6th year of content. I mean, it's like, I remember shipping this game when it came out.
I remember
meeting with you.
Yeah.
All right, so a few noteworthy things there. Firstly, Radu basically saying, yeah, Year 7 is a lock. This does not come as a shock, to me at least. As far back as Project Resolve's announcement, they were talking about setting up the game for a very long-term future. And so I continue to stick by my prediction that I gave back when we learned that Division 3 was confirmed to be in the plans, that I think Division 2 will continue right up until that transitional period, meaning Year 7 for sure, Year 8 almost certainly for sure, and then after that we'll see where we're at. That would mean Year 8 wraps up in 2027, so that's a long ways out. We'll see where things are at that point. But it's clear that the Division 2 team is no longer going from update to update thinking, man, this could be it. There's a long-term plan in place, and we've heard them say that repeatedly as they've said that Year 6 is a year of transformation. They want to restructure the game's foundation to support these plans they have moving forward. So after redesigning the endgame flow here in Season 1 and after revamping the seasonal structure in Season 2, that's when they plan to launch into true future content production and build off of that new foundation with the Brooklyn DLC in Season 3, and then whatever other things Year 7 may bring. So yeah, Year 7, exciting stuff. Then let's move on to, again, what I expect to hear the most comments about on this video, Yannick giving some deeper insights into Seasons 2.0 and the introduction of seasonal characters. Again, at this time I don't expect his words here to change many people's minds. We're still in great need of that further communication that the game teased to get a better sense of how this is all going to play out, but I think the value of this clip we're about to see is that it allows Yannick, in his own words and from the team's perspective, to talk about why they're making the shift and what they see the value and outcome being. Take a listen.
And let's not forget that Season 2 that will come this autumn will be a very, very interesting change, we hope, for our old and new players. The Seasons 2.0 that will bring for the first time in the Division universe a seasonal character. And I'm going to let Yannick fill in the blanks here of how things are to unravel in Season 2.
Yeah, so thanks for the intro. Perfect. So for seasonal characters, so the idea with Seasons 2.0, which as Radu said, is going to come with the second season of Year 6, so not the one we're starting now, but the one that will come later. The whole idea is that we really want to create a unique experience with every new season, and that starts with having a new character. And it's really important for us to start from scratch with everybody, which is also a great opportunity for new people to join, because everybody starts from the same level, from level 1. So you're no longer, way behind other players. But this especially allows us to create a completely handcrafted experience in terms of balancing, in terms of mechanics, in terms of, we know where the players are, where they're going to be at what time in the progression. So we can create something that is really going to be truly unique and different with every new season. And yeah, that's going to start with Season 2. So we're going to have a bunch of things. We're going to have new events, new gameplay modifiers, new gear, of course. So people that are used to the game will find it very, hopefully, refreshing and different, because the mechanics and the builds and all that is going to be very different from one season to the other. And again, new people will have an opportunity to come to the game because everybody starts from level 1, everybody starts from scratch. So every season is a new opportunity to join the game and start with everybody at the same time.
So, there you go. Again, I'm sure those who are completely opposed to the idea are sounding off in the comments right now. And like I said, this still does not provide us with that greater detail that we need to fully understand the scope and the vision of what they're going for. What are these modifiers they're going to be introducing? What are these new seasonal events? What kinds of builds are we talking about that are meant to be different from season to season? But he does underscore some elements that, like I said in my previous videos, sound enticing for me for how I personally play the game. A greater control on the balancing, re-achieving some of those core fundamentals that make a looter shooter feel unique, and the idea that this change in overall new structure allows them to break the mold on the seasonal format that we've had so far, and lets them do some new things, try a few new ideas, and hopefully, as he says, make each season feel distinctly unique and different from the last. Once again, for the upteenth time, many more details are still needed, and ultimately we will need to see this in action to get a true understanding, but there you go, that's a bit more insight into how they're approaching this. Okay, and then finally, we've got one last clip to look at covering story elements, mostly talking about Keener and his role in Season 1, but we do get a small mention of the Brooklyn DLC and how it fits into their plans for this year's narrative. Here you go.
Both. We're continuing the story, and we've been doing that for the past few years already. And as you may have seen with the trailer we just released, with this season, we are actually going after Keener, who we found out in the last season that he survived the events of Warlands of New York. He actually faked his own death. He's back. But with a twist, because he's back, but he's not necessarily your enemy. He wants to talk. So this is what this season is going to be about. It's going after him to meet and try to hear what he has to say and see if we can maybe find a potential ally with us. And we will keep building on that story, and all of that is going to lead us into the DLC that we'll be releasing later in the year. So there's going to be a lot of story and mechanics.
And there you have it. Now, I think most of us assumed this, but nothing's confirmed until it's confirmed. But as you heard Yannick say right there, the Brooklyn DLC will be the culmination, or at least will be the convergence for this major storyline with Keener, the Black Tusk, the Hunters, etc. that we've been following for quite some time now. Back when the delay happened, and just in general because there were so few details, some people had speculated that this DLC would maybe not be tied to the central story if it's meant to be more of a side experience. But as we just heard, nope, all roads lead to Brooklyn. And so yeah, that's going to be a very exciting conclusion for Year 6. I can't wait for that to get here in early 2025. That's going to do it, folks, for this recap of some Year 6 interviews that were released online for The Division 2. I very much hope you all enjoyed and found this informative. Great to hear some greater details and perspective on things from the people who make the game itself. Of course, as we said, I doubt many minds will be changed off of the Season's 2.0 comments, but the additional insight is useful, I think. Regardless of how you may feel about this, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on these interviews in the comments below. Thoughts on Year 7 being essentially confirmed, thoughts on the motive behind seasonal characters, thoughts about Brooklyn, any and everything. As always, can't wait to read through it. If you enjoyed the video and you want to stay in the loop with everything Division, then be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Until then, folks, RogueGold. Ow.